Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining another episode of the Weekly Tangent. We're here. Your hosts, Brooks, Greg. Thank you for joining us once again. It is the next Thursday, and YouTube
is up today.
Yeah. It's not down like Facebook, but it was down on Tuesday. You said that, right?
Yeah, like Gmail and whatnot.
All services or whatever went down on Tuesdays. It's kind of weird. It seems like there was some massive attack, at least somehow, across the internet on the major social media stuff.
I've seen what they've attributed blame to some internal builds, allegedly.
Internal builds, really?
Yeah.
Everybody all had the same problem with their QA department that week? It doesn't seem like it, but who knows? We're just glad that we can be here. We had to actually, funny story, we actually had to not do the Games Gone Wild stream yesterday on Facebook.
Yeah, so this is our second stream today.
Yeah, we've done two today. We were cranking through these. So forgive us if we're off a little bit, because normally we've got time to do our real job and do a stream, but not necessarily fit two streams in with the real job and all that stuff.
We made it work this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a one-time thing. It's not like an everyday occurrence or every week occurrence, but you've made a good point that every week something has gone wrong, either externally, internally, or by some kind of
combination of whether it was people getting sick at the office, cameras breaking, mixers breaking, snow hitting, Facebook breaking. I could go on and on about this.
Yeah, it's not been easy to make these things work.
So we're getting there, though.
I mean, hey, we're showing up on time, which is always a big thing. And it's occurring at least, well, this is our 8th YouTube show. So this is the 8th Weekly Tangent. It should have been the 9th, but we did have that week where we lost the snow, or lost to the snow. So we do have this week. We're good, and we've been counting down the weeks to get to some of the bigger game launches, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So the 8th week, on the 8th week of, I don't know, can't be Christmas, but on the 8th week brings us Division 2. That launches tonight.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
At 9 p.m. Ubisoft's dropping, well, they're not dropping it. It's been available if you were a gold buyer.
You could start playing on Monday.
Yeah, you could play on Monday. If you bought Division 2 Gold Edition, they gave you 3 extra days to get in there and start building up your knee pads.
And we've talked about this. I got to hand it to them. They went for $119 price point on that. We've been sort of waiting for someone to try to cross $60 for a game.
Oh, well, Ubisoft's been doing it like a long time, getting up to the $100 mark. But yeah, to go over $100 mark.
$119 this time.
Now, it was $119 for the digital. $109 for the disc. And there's something different between the disc and the digital. Because one's called Ultimate and one's called Gold, I thought.
Oh,
does that sound right?
I know the Ultimate runs $119. I don't know.
The Gold runs $109.
Oh,
because that's a physical disc, I think.
I don't, because on PSN the Gold's $99. Or I thought it was.
Well, that could be, because Best Buy, where I shop for games, like physical games, they have it at $109 for the Gold. But they don't even have an Ultra or Ultimate in disc form. It's only digital. And I don't know what the difference is.
Interesting, okay.
I don't know what the but anyhow, if you bought the Gold, regardless of where you got it, you got 3 days earlier. I'm sure the Ultimate got the same thing.
It did, yeah.
And then for all the other plebs, today is the day you get to play at 9 p.m. tonight, our time, midnight East Coast time.
Yep.
So, that'll be a fun game. I enjoyed the original one. And how did you put it? It's all the refugees from Anthem.
Pretty much, yeah.
Trying to find clean water, so they're going
looking for food and shelter right now, baby.
So Anthem numbers are probably tanking a little bit just because another looter shooter has hit the market, more than likely.
Yeah, and I mean, just since that's launched, Destiny did their new season, and now Division's got, and the people that play Destiny too, they are who they are. They're going to keep playing. But I mean, some of these guys were trying to play Destiny and Anthem and Division, and it looks like one of those shoes is probably about to drop. So.
Yeah, I think you kind of run into that constraint of how much time you have to play any one specific thing.
And especially since a lot of the stuff with... Now, we'll wait to give it a few days, but right now the early reviews for it are as like nailed what they kind of promised.
Yeah.
So like content's there, end game stuff's there.
Yep.
Real money store is virtually not there, right?
Which is good.
It's
I mean, a little bit, right? You gotta have some.
Yeah.
I don't mind some.
But
I don't mind it to be like. I don't want it to be too egregious, but like, I don't mind having something you can.
It just in the sense of like some of their games, like with the most recent Far Cry, even that you could earn almost everything in this game. You don't have to be sliding a credit card for it, which is nice.
Right.
So
Yeah. So
if you want to buy the cosmetics, you can, and
Yeah.
if you want to earn them in game, cool.
you can go do that, which
yeah.
I feel is the right way to do it. But
Yeah,
I was sitting there thinking about this the other day. We've had so many different variations of business models where it's in-app purchase, it's games, it's single-player stories with episodic content, it's
Right.
DLC packs and season passes, and I honestly feel like season pass and the individual DLCs makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
So, because if I really like the game, I'm willing to spend the money on it.
Yep.
And I want the full game. If I want to do it faster, I guess, give me some kind of way to do that. Loot boxes have never made sense to me. I've never really been a fan of that.
I'm not going to say I've never bought them, but yes,
Right.
I'm not the biggest fan.
It's just, I don't like that. I don't mind, the let it die model either, where the game's free, but hey, if you want to bring your character back to life, you can buy a pack of these and then you use them 20 for $5 or something like that.
Right.
Like that, because that goes to kind of the idea of why you love Dark Souls or some game like that, where it's like skill becomes the thing, the get good, and then you don't die, and then you can last longer and you don't have to pay. I like that model. I thought that was interesting. I don't like every game to be that model.
Sure.
Certain games. But I do think DLC and season pass are really the only viable options in moving forward.
And it's really interesting because as kind of a sign of goodwill, what Ubi and Massive have decided was that, and it's a little bit confusing, but a very large portion of the first season content is free for just buying the game.
Right, everybody.
Right. Yeah. So there's a bunch of these.
What do they call that? Like year one? Year one DLC.
As far as I know, I believe they're calling them seasons still.
Oh, they are.
I think so.
Okay.
But I know that I believe there's 3 or 4.
Yep.
And then what pre-purchase or what buying the pass gets you is you essentially can play that content before other people. That's my understanding of how this works now. And then year 2.
Is it still like exclusive content to PlayStation, Xbox, those guys?
I believe we got out of that after the whole month. All the raids were early on one of the platforms last time around.
So it's all out of that, and they move forward.
And the timing we're talking about, I think it's like 3 or 5 days early on this stuff. And then I think they've said when season 2 comes out, presumably the year after, so starting March 2020, with then everybody that buys the year 2 pass, everybody will be on the same page. There won't be like year 2 pass, early year 2 pass. This is kind of a one-time thing of like, how do you sell a gold edition, but also everybody that bought the standard edition gets the content for free, more or less.
Well, that makes sense to me. Again, I mean, they're testing out different models.
Yeah.
The good news is there's no issue that's outstanding, right? Like the game's playable right now.
Right.
People are enjoying it. It's not a Ubisoft, like servers go down, like the moment everything now. We haven't seen everybody turn it on at one time yet. I'm sure that they were stress testing while they've had the gold members or whatever.
They had that big open beta a couple of weeks ago, and they let pretty much anybody that wanted to play
go at it and see. So hopefully, smooth launch, content's running nice, got a lot of content to play around with. Sounds like the life after game after 30 is reasonable.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's content there. who knows? It probably should be a good thing, and then hopefully Anthem, in the meantime, gets their game together, tightens some stuff up. Doesn't just kill it, and then moves forward and gets something in 6 months.
I was almost not going to buy this game on launch.
Right, so, right. You had said that. So, we had talked about let's try it 6 months down the road.
Yeah, so we got it, so I'm not gonna make any excuses about it. But yeah, I was kind of on the fence with this just because I still have got I've got Metro. I'm almost done with DMC. Sekiro's in a week. Days Gone is in a month.
Yep.
I already own the Destiny season, so I'm sitting here and I'm already 5. We're now counting games, and I'm marching towards 10.
And that's just on one console.
Yeah, right.
It's not counting all the indie games that launch in the next month across everything.
What we run through at work, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's just one single console. It's crazy, and you rightfully said DMC 5 just had released.
Yep.
After we kind of made it to last cast to this one or last stream to this one. So it's funny how you can play that game differently. It is an action game, action beat 'em up, right? Obviously. I finished the game on Saturday in one sitting.
Yeah, I'm not.
Took about 8 hours.
I'm not quite done yet.
And then you played it a completely different way, and you're still halfway through.
I'm on mission 11.
11 or something like that. But you probably put more time into it than I did.
I've done some farming. I've replayed some levels. Tried to grind onto some of the secret stuff.
Yeah.
And the original plan was, okay, I'll get DMC, I'll have 2 weeks, we'll finish that, Sekiro will come out, and then Division happens. That's where we're at tonight.
Yeah.
So
I still haven't made the Division call. I might, but I'm definitely looking forward to Sekiro next week.
Yeah.
Shadows Die Twice. I'll be doing a lot of videos on that.
Probably hear more about that game from us in the next couple of weeks, I imagine.
Yeah, I'd probably say one more week and we'll be talking about that on here. Who knows? We'll see what else we do with that. But
we got some different games tonight.
Yeah, a lot of different games. So the first game that we're going to run with is one that it was in early access for a while. It's finally, out of early access. Prison Architect is going to be the game. So let's jump into that. If you haven't seen this, we're big fans of strategy games over here.
This comes to us from Plug-in Digital?
Yeah, Plug-in is the one that delivered this game. They've cut the deal to help expand distribution out there. And the overall game is done it looks basic, let's say that. Low, it's a good-looking game, but intentionally it's not meant to be this highly detailed, real-life simulator of prison life and running a prison, but it definitely is good. It really does look like an architect-style view of how a building would go together when you're playing the game.
It's got that topographical kind of bird's eye view.
Yes, right. And you have layers that you can look at, so you can look at where the power lines are. I think we showed that in the little video here that we took of it. We played through the game, and this one, it's got some unique features. They're putting, right now, essentially this is the beginning of the game. First 30 minutes or so, we'll put on the game info page, but this is a shortened version. The CEO of the company that builds prisons comes to you and is like, hey, we need to get a electric chair, and some dude's ready to go to the chair. He's got a death penalty.
Yeah, well, it's it starts with what is Edward commits a crime of passion or something like
that. Yeah, it really, that kind of comes in because Edward's the guy that's got the death sentence.
Right.
You've got to not carry it out, but you've got to build the facility. So you can kind of see that you've built the building and kind of to where they want the execution building to be. Then you've got to build a holding cell, and then you've got to build the execution room, and you got to make the guy comfortable and cut the pathways and all that. And then it starts the story of Edward, and that's about the end of the story.
Okay.
You pretty much then go into building a prison. Now there's story components, things happen, but it's more driven off of there's been a massive fire in the middle of the building. You've got to rebuild the entire kitchen while the prison's running.
Interesting.
that's kind of how it's built. And then there's like an endless mode, and you can do whatever you want and build the way you want and things like that. But it's definitely a simulator in its own right, unique take on it. There's been a few, like we've had Prison Tycoon.
Right, yeah.
From, I forget which partner that was that brought us that, but it was a while ago. That one's been out a while. This was an indie take on that kind of game. And I remember when this was, I think it probably was 2015 when this game, maybe even a little bit earlier, maybe like 2014. When it was, I think it started as a Kickstarter because it actually had like, hey, if you buy the game, you get your name as one of the prisoners.
Is the game the same every time you play through it?
In the endless mode, at the beginning, yes.
Okay.
But in the endless modes and then, no.
Okay, cool.
Or the campaign, I guess. I guess they consider it a campaign.
You can play through it more than once.
Yeah.
Without...
Yeah, of course. So it's actually... It's got scenarios, and I think it's got, different... Like, hey, the prison, you have to, like, run under a certain budget, and then there's another scenario.
Okay.
Another one. So, but right here you can see the guys are carrying in their doors. You manage every little thing about it. You've got to get power to the building. It goes through and shows you how the power couplings have to be run. Funny enough, for the electric chair, you blow out the generator, so you have to add more capacitors to it. So it shows you how to do that. So this is all in the tutorial part of it. But like I said, it's a very interesting game. Not the most highly detailed, but a good-looking game. And it's stylized the way that they wanted to present in an architect view.
That's kind of how I think of the graphics. Is like much more on the stylized front.
Right. So here you're putting down floor, or you're designating like what part is the cell, what part's
is
the
execution room. I got that.
And then you can go in and even layer like wood flooring on it or tile or whatever. And then you can put in the beds, however you want. Here they show you to put it that way. But as you build out other things, you can design them the way you feel.
Tile for easy cleanup.
Yeah, well, you have to have that. I think I actually put wood flooring in between the entrance room and that. But yes, tile in the execution room. And then you even build the pathways. It's like I said, you get further into the game, there's a lot of interesting setups that they have, or scenarios that they have thrown at you. And when you're trying to run it, a little bit of the game it's not like holding your hand.
Okay.
Right? They tell you how to do certain things, but you've got to figure out like, oh, I need to drag this fireman over to this fire that's going on kind of thing.
Well, I mean, there's certainly a level of trial and error to some of these, right?
Yeah, they don't want you to be able to do everything.
First try, perfectly A+.
Yeah, no. You want to have trial and error. You want to have resource management components. You want to have, make it a little bit more challenging as you ratchet up some of the challenge on the games. We talk about this on our other stream a lot. Some people laugh about casual games and how they just don't see the challenge in them. But you take some of the casual games and you ratchet it up to like super hard.
You throw them on very hard, right?
Right, and it becomes a little bit of a challenge. A game that would take you normally like 4 to 5 hours to get through takes you like 10 to 12,
right? Yep.
Possibly even higher to be able to get through because of the challenge level. It's obviously interest in the casual subject that you're looking, the subject of the game that's casual, but mainly. All games can be difficult. Trust me, developers can make anything difficult if they want.
There's more than meets the eye at this kind of stylistic level, right? Because you look at this and like,
sure.
Just like some people might look at this and be like, oh, like 2D graphics, like I'm, playing PlayStation or whatever, right?
Yeah, I'm not into this or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, it can be a little bit different. And you know what? I just thought about this. We haven't thrown this into the chat yet, so let me grab the link and toss this in the chat. What's our next game that we're going to be looking? So before we jump over, just quickly, this is kind of the campaign story, and you can see how the story is kind of presented to you in the unique way that they do that. The stylized way that they show you how the game actually is played, or how the game story is actually shown to the end user. So it's like in Polaroid pictures, and they talk about like, here's what this guy did, and it goes into this like noir but in their own style.
Gives you a little bit of a cut scene.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I get what you're saying.
And he goes home and he finds his wife in bed with another guy. So then he takes matters into his own hands. So there's the link for this. This is a Steam game, so you have to you'll buy it from us, get the key, and then you can go over to Steam and grab it. There's a discount on the game. I just kind of fast forwarded, and now you can see kind of you have to set up the power grid and everything.
This is a little bit later in the game when you've got an established facility up and running.
You've got everything up and running. Now you need to get power to it, so you get the power grid view, so forth. So there's the link for that. The next game.
You want to bump over to Dragonview next?
Yeah. Let's jump over to Dragonview. That's an interesting game.
So we've shown a few of these off, and I think we've got some more that we're showing off. This comes to us from our guys over at Pico.
Pico. Yep. Pico is the developer publisher we work with that has taken older Super Nintendo, like retro games, like Super Nintendo, Genesis, some PC games that have never. Oh, look at that! I noticed that the video we were cutting wasn't finalized. I don't think I can move that forward. Give it a second. It wasn't set up for controller. We wanted to play it as a controller game. I should have thought about that. There we go.
Cool.
So now it should move forward. But on these, that's a good example. Actually, that's something good to talk about. This game, Dragonview, you can try out for 30 minutes for free on WildTangent.
Yep.
You can try out the first 30 minutes of the game, even more, depending upon if you speed through the dialogue boxes you're going to see here. But this game, if you want to play it with controller, you have to do exactly what you just saw. You have to go in and tell it, I want to use a gamepad, and then click OK.
Remember that I want to use a gamepad.
Because it defaults to keyboard because, most of our PC games, a lot of people that play our games may not have a controller ready at hand or may not want to play with controller.
Or, even some of the
and
games
you can play with keyboard just fine. So they default the controls to keyboard. If you want to play with controller, you got to do what we just did on screen, which is funny enough, we showed that. So in this game...
So this is kind of like an adventure RPG?
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely heavy. Well, it's an action-adventure RPG. Because while there's limited action in the beginning where you see us playing, there's far more action as you get further into the game.
Right.
In terms of the boss battles, or not boss battles, but encounters that you run across with enemies. Think of a game like Final Fantasy, but right now you're kind of in a 2D side-scrolling view. Then you go into this is a unique game. This game actually has mode 7. So this was a Super Nintendo game.
Yeah, so this was back like 94.
Yes,
right.
And it has mode 7, and you actually wander around the world in a first-person view. So a Super Nintendo game that was a first-person RPG.
This is some early first-person open world gameplay.
Yes,
right.
By far, very early. It does play a little rough. But that's the nostalgia factor of this kind of game. It's hard to turn, and you kind of lose where you're at when you're turning.
A lot of this stuff, I feel like games have come so far that I don't even think we go back and look at like how limited those early machines were, technologically speaking. My watch could power how many Super Nintendos at this point? Right.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's part of the factor of it, right? I mean, there's a big difference between, retro games that were doing a lot of stuff versus like, the games that we're seeing here, which they had to deal with like the graphics were amazing that they were doing. They had to go in and they had to do all sorts of stuff to make these things run, amazingly well.
The things they did at a design level is quite interesting because we were still at a point where like we were still dealing in 8-bit and 16-bit.
Yes.
Right? So it was like fundamentally a lot of things were either top-down or side-scrollers.
Yeah.
But how do you then, And as you were saying with mode 7, and you had this quasi 3D that was like
the 3D effect that they were presenting to you was unique.
So there was during that time. This was like we weren't to polygons in games quite yet,
right?
But that's still a couple years away.
Yeah, no, we were a little bit further out than that, but I mean they were a lot of text in this game as well. Like there's just at the beginning a ton of text that you have to get through. There's very little action. You can speed through this by just tapping the button. We actually, to the respect of a true action RPG or action adventure RPG, if you don't save and you die in the first minute or two, you go all the way back to the beginning. If you don't save, you die and you go back to wherever you had to save if there was a save available. Right? We found that out.
Auto-saving was not always a thing.
No, there is no auto-saving in the game. You have to go to these little temples that are pretty much at the beginning of every little town that you walk into. And at that point, you can then save, and then you've got a record. But it looks like, and I believe this is correct, that you can only save at those temples. There's no other options for you. So it could get really tough. And as you can see here, it's a 2D side scroller at points where the action goes and you're fighting. So kind of like a beat 'em up with kind of like an RPG mechanic, like the boss you can or the enemy you can see him ticking off like hearts, like 6 hearts you hit him for, or 5 hearts you hit him for, and then kind of like how much life he has left in that sense. But interesting game. Definitely, if you get a chance, try it out for free. Go over to WildTangent. Use the link that we've dropped into chat.
I think all the Pico stuff you can try.
All the Pico games, yes. You can go in, play around with them, give them a shot, and doesn't cost you anything. And we want, we definitely want people to give it a try and see if they like the game style, see if there's interest in it. That's why we present, at least 30 minutes of games that we can. Now, a Steam game we can't, but like a game like this, we can. And we definitely want you to give it a try. So go over and check that out. It's available now. And I do believe that the link... Did I drop it in the chat or did I just drop the other one in the chat?
I think you dropped the first one.
I did. No, that was just Prison Architect. So let me drop Dragonview into the chat. And then we'll jump over to the next game, which is a little bit different.
Do you want to drop the next link in the chat too?
Yeah, let's just jump over. So the next game we're going to talk about is Pro Fishing Simulator.
It's also from Plug-in Digital.
Also from Plug-in. They brought us this one. Pro Fishing Simulator is as true of a simulator as you can have.
Right.
This is like you're not swinging a Wii remote or, a motion sensor to throw the...
You don't have a VR headset
headset strapped to your face. No, that's kind of my preferred way to play a fishing game.
Right.
Right, is give me a Wiimote, give me a PlayStation Move controller, give me a VR headset, a PSVR, and let me play some Final Fantasy. This is more along the lines of like a true simulator. You're looking at like what time of the day it is, what your winds factors are. Right. You're looking at like what lures you're going to use and what bobbers.
It's really getting into you're traveling to the locations. You're getting into, are you boat fishing? Are you lure fishing?
Yeah, you kind of hoof it too, right? Like you're running to the next thing to kind of get your way through.
I think one of the things I kind of talked about with this, I think there's like 70 or 80 different fish in the game. Ooh, kind of a weak cast.
Yeah, well, that was me learning how to do it, right? Because you're having to figure out like. You have to choose between, like, I think it's the Q. Like, if you hit Q, you have to determine if you want a long cast, short cast.
It's like when those old golf games almost.
Yes.
With the indicator on the left. Okay.
Yeah, I did it again. I was like, dropped right there. Then I figured out, like, you've got to catch up with the timing. So you got to make sure you hit the right meter. But you do have to choose between the casts first before you do anything.
Right.
So it is definitely like detail upon detail. So I'm going to put that, let me throw that link in chat.
And I mean, true to the name, down to like I mean, even the gear is branded, right? Some of the stuff. This is like real world fishing simulator. You're dealing with like Cast King gear or like Vision gear, right?
Yeah, there's a lot. So I think I finally get it going here. Yeah, there we go. So it tells you like the depth that your bobber's at or your lure's at. Funny enough, you get to a point where the game talks about like, oh, if you see bubbles here, that means there's fish. I've never seen that in real life, but that could be a real thing. I don't know.
You know, we talked about it off cast. Fishing is one of the things that never clicked with me in life.
Yeah, I've not been a big fisherman in my life, but I do appreciate like some of the funner fish games, where it's more casual. Like, what's the one from Sega back in the day on the Dreamcast?
Like Seaman?
Like no, that was the one where you played like the guy.
Where you talked.
The fish talked.
Yeah, okay.
No, what I'm thinking of is Bass Pro. No, what was it?
Big Bass. I think you're right.
Was it Big Bass? And then there was the one where you were at sea. These were on the AM2 arcades,
Sure.
You had the actual fishing motion controller that you would wing out there and you'd fish with it and then you'd be able to reel it in.
I feel like the last fishing game I played had to have been like dynamite fishing, which really has nothing to even do with fishing.
Right, that was more like a mobile game, right? Yeah, that one was pretty fun. Like here, this guy, he's showing off his catch. You show off every catch every time you get it, which to one point of the game drove me nuts because you can't get around that.
Right.
Like he wants to show this fish, and obviously, yes, that's what you want to do, but it loads a screen where the guy's holding the fish, and then it loads back to like you in the fishing stance, right? Which, that's cool. I mean, every game does it in its own way. Like I was saying, that Final Fantasy like fishing game that's on VR for the PS4, that one, like, you hold the fish in the air after you've caught it, and then you're looking at it and you can like move around because obviously you're in VR and all
your
that.
Score or whatever.
Yeah, and then you just drop it and you start fishing again. It's very quick and snappy. Every game has its own style of it, but you're also like fighting fish monsters in that game with like a harpoon gun or a crossbow and to weaken them or something.
It's a little fantastical.
It's definitely like high fantasy fishing kind of thing, we'll call. But those are the kind of fish games that I like.
One cool thing that this game does have for fans of fishing sims is it does have kind of like both like daily and weekly challenges. Yeah. So there's kind of incentive to play each day, return each day, complete all your challenges, get your weeklies done, get your better gear.
You have all of that stuff. Yeah.
So,
and that's a little bit different than what you would have in more of a casual fishing game.
Right.
Where it's not so detailed. Not everything is exactly like pinpoint, and you're not wearing the right fishing gear. Then you get shunned by the other fishermen because they know you're just coming in as a wannabe. Right. So, but yeah, you actually get to go a little bit further. I think in this, after I'm done throwing some casts out, I move around to another area, and then you can walk the whole lake.
Okay.
You can just kind of roll around the whole lake, and I thought that was kind of interesting because there's not a spot that you can't walk in this area, this big, like, vast, like, wilderness.
Well, they definitely hyped how many different locations there are. That is kind of cool that you don't just click a location and you kind of land there. You can actually get to a location and sort of perch your way around where you want to. You can
take your time and walk there and fish along the way and stop and fish wherever you really want to. It's definitely interesting in that sense. There's the biggest fish I think I caught was a carp. I think actually I kind of said, okay, I'm going to go look. Yeah. So you can just kind of take off at random, kind of roll around.
You need to see your fishing license, sir.
Yeah, exactly. The game warden's here. And then this was just down the path a little bit, another area that you can fish in. This became more of like local fishing, like very small areas. So you were doing the short casts, tossing it in the water.
Do you ever jump around between because anytime I've always heard about fishing, or even I come from a family of a lot of the men in my family were either into hunting or fishing. Yeah. And anytime we ever went fishing, I was getting woke up at like 2:30 in the morning.
I don't know. This guy, he started at like 7 in the morning or something like that. So let's go ahead and where are we at now? We've got a couple more games, then we're going to play
Yeah, I think we're playing Shock Troopers at the end.
An older SNK arcade game.
Yep.
So we just launched on the service, so we will be playing that. Let's go ahead and jump in and do Railway Empire.
Okay.
This is from
Calypso.
So this is kind of more your traditional railway or railroad simulator.
Okay.
Right, where they're giving you a little bit of history. You start off, you're like, you've got to run a train, one of the first trains or one of the last trains to kind of make that transcontinental train line. You've got to connect like Omaha and Cheyenne, Wyoming, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Omaha, Nebraska to Cheyenne.
This is like 1860 something.
Yeah, right when this is right when they were finishing. It starts off right when they were finishing the Transcontinental Railroad.
Okay.
So you take on somebody, you're building it, gives you a little bit of history, and then at that point, kind of lets you go. The cool thing, I mean, train simulators. What was one of the first ones? There was Sid Meier's Railroad Tycoon or whatever. That was probably one of the first bigger ones that hit.
That's the first that I can remember.
Yeah. And they have different viewpoints. In this one, you can actually ride on the train.
Okay.
So it can go down to the detail level of like, you're all the way on the ground and you can see like what the train view looks like from the train. And it's highly detailed. You can stay really high above it as well, like in this view, kind of the bird's eye view, and be able to play the game out from that point. But it goes, right into the detail of like, hey, you got to put a station in. Okay, you got to put a station at the other place. Now connect those two with a rail line. Oh, you know what? You got to build a track that goes to the offside of the game or of the track that you're on, so another train can pass by. So
you're
start to get detail.
So you're basically building a network from coast to coast of a train system.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a similar game on the service,
Right.
called Bounty Train.
Yep.
Bounty Train is a little bit more
Strategy?
well. No, I mean you're not building. You are building. It's less strategy. Well, it's more story than it is strategy.
Right.
In that game, you're building a connection, but you're not having to sit there and put the signals in and put the water tower in and
Right.
put the extra track in. You're just kind of saying, I want to go from Boston to New York. And you're just dealing with the cargo that you've got to ship in between there. This one, you're still shipping cargo, but it's less of the meticulous thing of like shipping and picking, like buying a certain amount of cotton or a certain amount of alcohol. In this, you have to connect places that have those resources, and it's far more down to like the track building, the trains, things like that. That's where the strategy, that's where the detail comes into Railway Empire. It's definitely not, worry about like, oh, this little, you got to buy the exact right amount of alcohol to take to New York City to get like the most money for it, kind of like in what was it, Drug Wars or
what did they call the GTA version of it?
Chinatown.
Chinatown
Wars was the game that kind of had that like, you've got to buy the certain type of drug here,
you buy low,
sell it to this guy and sell high.
Right.
That's more like Bounty Train. Railway Empire is far more into the detail of like the track and connection to cities.
You've got you got the historically accurate locomotives. You've got all the wagons. You've got all the technologies. And I think it covers 4 or 5 different eras.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
As you get further into the game, it definitely goes a little deeper. So let's grab. I need to put the link into chat for Railway Empire. It is a Steam key. So you will see we'll put the gameplay trailer up for like the 30-minute one that we record. But if you'd want to purchase it, you'd buy the key and then you'd be able to go over to Steam and redeem it. And we do have on most of our games, we have at least a 10% discount or higher.
If not more.
Yeah. So you do get a pretty good deal. It's just right here. This one is a Steam key. It's not one where it has a free trial on. So I had an incomplete URL there, so I got to go grab the complete one. I don't know why I didn't have the full URL. I just had a portion of it. So let me drop that into chat. I seem to have lost our Twitch feed. There we go. It's back up. So on the Twitch side, if you're watching over there, I'm going to go through and grab all those links that we were just throwing up and put them in the chat there as well.
Now join your 2 stations to the
So yeah, as you can see in Railway Empire, now I'm building the track. And at that point, you've got to go through and connect it to Norfolk. And then you got to even tell like the rail line like where it's going. So the train's got to know like you're going to Norfolk. That's all you have to do. Where you can make different stops and you can have it like skip a city and go to another city. Why you would do that, I don't know. Maybe there's a specific reason for it. You're not picking something up, but you know the detail is in. You can choose how the route goes. You can choose how many trains are running. You can choose like how far the train has to go to pick certain things up or skip cities and all that. So highly detailed. And like I said, you can even go in and view from this view. You can go all the way down to riding on the train.
Yep, very cool.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, I thought so as well. Calypso does a good job. I mean, what was the new game that they just launched? What's their big one? Tropico 6.
Yes.
I think that one just launched today.
from the surrounding area.
I could have swore it was today. Maybe I'm off. So they do a great job with all their simulation strategy games. I mean, they're just really, really solid performers. So on the Twitch side, for those folks, I'm grabbing the links now and just dropping them in. And what other game did we do? We did that. We did Dragonview. We did Pro Fishing Simulator, and now
Prison.
Railway. And then we had Prison already in there. So now let's see, where are we at? So we're building, so again, not having to deal with the very detailed components of it. Right there you saw I was building an actual rail station at a cornfield where a farmer raised corn so you could get that resource and take it. But it wasn't like I had to like buy it at a certain price. So again, details not on the actual like cargo, details more on the actual train mechanics.
On the route or whatnot.
Yep. So the next game, For the King. So For the King, we just deployed this. This is from Curve Digital.
Yep.
And this comes from our friends Plugin Digital. And we do have For the King as a build where you can play it for free for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. We haven't put that one up. This is just the Steam version. So if you do follow this link, it will take you just to the Steam version. In a week or so, we will have the actual build up for the trial, the 30-minute trial. It's kind of a unique game. It looks a lot like it's a turn-based RPG.
It looks like Catan.
It looks like Catan.
What it reminds me of.
But it's more like a traditional role-playing game.
Turn-based RPG.
Turn-based RPG. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminds me of when you get to see like the battles going on. It's more like, this is like Suikoden or like Wild Arms or Final Fantasy. But when you're on the overworld and you're kind of running around, it's more like a turn-based RPG, almost like an RTS in a way. Because the reason why I think it can also be an RTS is because you can play multiplayer on this. So online multiplayer is possible. 3 people can be running around the map. Everybody's still turn-based, but the action kind of moves really fluid. So it does have this different type of gameplay mechanic to it, but it's like a tabletop RPG in the end.
Yeah, and then isn't there also can't you also play this co-op where you and a friend play on the same team?
Yes. Yeah.
And then like one of us will take control of character 1 in battle, and then the next player takes control of character 2 in battle.
Correct. And then you can even be really close to like each other and be pulled into the battles. Like if you're playing just single player, as long as your 2 other characters are within like 7 tiles, they can be pulled into the battle that you get into. So it's got an interesting component to it like that.
Very cool.
I think right now we're going to be going into a battle scene here shortly. Essentially I was trying to gauge like where I needed to go for the one story, and then kind of jump over to a battle to be able to show that in the game as well. So there's story components. There's, you're going here, you're going there, you're getting missions, but then like sometimes you're just traveling around. You want to go check out this area, but it's kind of got like the all the trolls and the imps and all that stuff are in this area ready to attack you. So obviously you're just doing those to have a fight. Right, you're trying to find something, but you're in a fight kind of scenario.
Each time you start a campaign, are the maps randomized, like procedural?
I'm not 100% sure with this game.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on this. I think it may change to how you play the game.
Okay.
So here's a battle.
The Forest Nibbler?
Yes, and I think I move my character into play so I can pull in the other character into the battle. Or wait, no. That was a battle screen. It looked like I was going to try it, but I haven't went into battle yet. Still doing another quest over on this one side. But it should be coming up where you get a chance to see what the battle mechanic looks like. And that's where it really reminds you of a traditional like JRPG or something.
Yeah, totally.
I did think, it looks very close to Catan though, or Catan.
Oh, it looked very close.
You know, when you first start the game and your top-down view. So I like the idea. I like the design. This game, like I said, you will be able to try it for free. We're waiting on the build to be pushed live.
Yep.
But once you do have a chance, it definitely can hold your interest. I enjoyed it. So here, I think the battle's going to start. There was nobody in the vicinity, so this is a one-on-one kind of battle.
Right.
It didn't pull in any of the other three characters. And you have different types of attack, and you can see it kind of rolls the dice, and the dice is like how you kind of score your hits and that stuff. So it's definitely got that tabletop feel to it, although it's more of like a traditional JRPG. Did I drop that one into chat? No, I have not. So let me do that. And then I think we should jump in and start playing a little bit of Shock Troopers.
Are we playing co-op tonight then?
Yeah, we're going to do some co-op.
Cool.
So let me grab the link for the King.
You probably dropped the Shock Troopers one.
Yeah, I'll probably do that while we start that game up. What, did that go in? Didn't look like it did. Nope. I mustn't have grabbed it. There we go. Okay, there's the link for for the King. Let me throw that into Twitch. And then let's fire up. You've got that fired up right now? Okay, we are going to switch over to Shock Troopers, which is the game we're going to play tonight. This is a traditional arcade game, like arcade mechanic to it.
And as in like
Atari Warriors.
Not like arcade style, like this was you went to an arcade and you stood up and played the game.
This was one of the SNK machines, where the what do they call it? The MVS?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or AVS.
Usually MVS. You're right.
AVS. Well, there was an AVS and an MVS.
As far as I know, this was an MVS game.
This is an MVS.
Yeah.
AVS would have been your cartridge for the home.
Yes.
See, that's where it gets tricky. That's what I'm talking about. I think... I forget. We will correct that.
We'll call it good on that.
We'll call it good on that. But it's basically the game you would have played in the arcade.
Yes.
So let me grab my controller. Now the nice one is with the SNK games, this game you can play for free for 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. You can download it off of the service. The nice thing about these games, they are configured for control pad all the way, right away.
By default.
By default, unlike the Poke games.
Okay.
Or Pico games.
If somebody tries this and doesn't have control, can they still play with
You can still play with mouse and keyboard.
You just have to go into the settings first.
Yep.
Okay.
You just have to go in and edit it. So let me grab that link for Shock Troopers. Drop that in Twitch and drop it in YouTube, and then we'll be good. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and drop in here. We're going to do multiplayer. Is it only online multiplayer? I thought it was couch multiplayer. Hold on. Oh, where can I move up? There we go. Oh, there it is. So that's what it is. We had two. You have a local co-op option, and then you have online multiplayer,
which is something that is since
kind of unique.
Which is something that's been added since, because when you play this in the arcade, there was certainly not an online component back then with like leaderboards and that type of thing.
That's true. Let me throw the game on here. There we go. Sorry.
Perfect.
You missed all the fun when we were trying to figure it out. So I'm going to go Lonely Wolf. Oh no, that's what we want is team battle. Sorry. And no, we wanted Lonely Wolf. That's what we wanted. What am I thinking of? Go back. There we go. And then, can you choose yours? It was hiccuping for some reason.
It was, yeah.
Did you notice that? I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
That was strange. The game runs pretty well. I mean, it was just weird because when we were in that one area, or in that one team battle, it was like, stuttering.
Yeah.
Strange. You can see our background. That's the actual, I think, promo for all the playable characters. Let's do the jungle route. So this one, it reminds me a lot of a Card Warriors.
Okay.
It has a horrible, rough mechanic for the shooting. So it's not a twin stick shooter, right? Your other stick is dead. It's basically whatever way you're pointing is the way you're going to fire. Oh, now we get it. Okay, let me try that again. There we go.
So it's rolling.
Yeah, you do have some rolling. You have your grenades. You can at least get out of the way. And if you tap, it's a little bit better. If you hold, you're kind of stuck in a specific direction, if you notice. Lots of nice weapons, though, to choose from. Oh. On fire. Hopefully there's an ABBA continue for lives, because I'm sure I'll die multiple times. We're using Microsoft controllers as well.
Xbox One.
Xbox One.
Yeah.
You could use any kind of controller. It's not going to really care. But I find the Xbox Ones are the easiest if you've got them. You know, if you have an Xbox One, obviously you get an Xbox One controller. You just need a USB cable and you can plug it right in. And pretty much on Windows, it works 100%. You know, there's not really a game that doesn't work with the thing.
NG?
Take that Vulcan. Go ahead and grab that heavy.
I got this scatter shot. I'm kind of in on this. Oh, I guess. Oh.
That's fine. I think you only get limited ammo, though.
That must be it.
Yeah. I think for each weapon, you only get limited ammo. There's not a Vulcan. Oh, I ran out of Vulcan. No, get away. Oh, it shot me right in the stomach. Do some of that. Oh, that's nice. Continues.
I don't know that I'm the world's biggest fan of how this aims.
It's a little tough to play with. Yeah,
but I'm so used to playing with two sticks. This like shooting is a button and aiming is walking and aiming.
Yeah, the nice thing is like here you can just sit there and like, well, I died on that one. But you can like just the great thing is you can just sit and hold and it just shoots the direction that you're aiming at. Hold in there. I'm coming. Yes. Okay. There we go. Like if I just want to shoot at this thing, like if I just stay there.
You'd be bait.
can just hold it and like it stays in that position if you can get them in the right corner.
Yeah.
But it's a downfall too, though. Like the mechanic to it is a rough one to get through. Obviously, because it was made for like a 4-way controller.
Right.
I don't even know if it had it. Well, it did have an 8-way controller because you can go diagonally. It's got that same like. It's got the same metal slug mechanic to where if you're close enough, you just do a melee attack. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna try this one. Oh, now we're going up.
Dude. Not screw around with the knife.
You gotta be really fast if you want to spread that stuff around, like your spray. That's the other bad thing. Like the characters look so close, it's hard to see like who's who. One's wearing like light gray camo or armor, and
Well, it probably didn't help. It probably didn't help
green.
that when I died, I think I accidentally
You
picked
just
the
chose
same
whatever
one that was,
character.
yeah.
Yeah, when you're trying to run away, it's hard to shoot because you can't shoot in that direction. Where like a twin stick would do better, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'll try the bomb. But one thing that SNK always did well was the graphics. It looks good, you know, for when a game was.
I mean, they always made challenging games too, right?
Oh,
And these
yeah.
games aren't, you know, you don't beat it on the first try.
Whoa.
Oh, sorry. You probably should have taken that.
That's fine. Let me grab this. Ooh. Wow. Shot me with a bullet the size of my entire character. Ooh.
Drop those nades on.
Yeah, I don't know if you get unlimited amount. No, I just ran out. Oh no, I still have a few. Oh, there's out of the tank. We got him. Nice. Yeah, for some reason, you know, SNK, the most memorable game out of all their stuff for me is the Metal Slug series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, myself as well.
And you can kind of see exactly how, like, the guy laughing at the end, how they pull that same kind of attitude from the Metal Slug. Although it's not as crazy as the Metal Slug games.
Right.
You know. It does remind me, in the way that we were just playing, when you're going up and down, or going up mainly, it reminds me a lot of, like, Metal Gear, the original Metal Gear.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, they've even got a couple characters that are named very similarly.
Here we're playing, you know, kind of in a. It almost feels like it's better to hold the stick down or your fire button,
Oh,
so
yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
change you don't change like your direction of where you're shooting.
Yeah, this reminds me of some old school, like,
Bullet hell shooters, yeah.
yeah, some, like, we got some TMNT in this.
Yeah,
Some
for sure.
Some Turtles in Time type stuff.
Oh, that's true. You're gonna have to come over to the house and check out Turtles in Time on that arcade.
Yeah.
That thing is awesome. That's the way you do it. You build one arcade, you know, go buy this game and then go spend like a ton of money to build an arcade in your house and run it off.
That's
like
it. Practice.
That's how you
Yeah.
feel good about it.
You coming back?
Yeah, I thought I did. Okay, we have to start. I'm gonna try this dude.
The boss just got, like, napalmed.
Yeah, he did a good job on that one. Oh, I thought we were going into a cliff. That's some contra right there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, man. I don't know if I like the aim and shoot.
Yeah, it's a
It's
little tough. It's something that we're not used to anymore because pretty much, well, we were playing Tower 57 last week. Oh, yeah, they get you in that scenario there. I should just turn right on. Tower 57 is like a twin stick shooter.
Right.
Much more in line with what we are used to with the newer generation of games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, twin stick shooters for a minute, that was a hot genre everybody piled into. Everybody
when the
had
PS3 was first out, that's all that was coming out.
that, and when Xbox Live was kind of a little bit earlier on.
Yeah, there was tons of there were some very unique twin stick shooters, and funny enough, that's a good segue into we're going to be doing another show.
Probably Monday.
Mondays.
Yeah.
And we're not sure if we're going to do them every Monday, but we're going to do one Monday, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite games that may not be on WildTangent, that may be on WildTangent. Right?
Right.
This is more along the lines of just talking about like games in our life and kind of what those games kind of led us to play later on. Oh, I probably took that. And kind of where our knowledge of games comes from.
Sure.
In that sense. So, yeah, you'll probably see some like PS3 games talked about and some, early Nintendo games and, maybe even back into Atari, who knows. And then talk about like newer games, what games are coming out and kind of like the, Sekiros of the world, Matt, and kind of like the games that have just come out or games we're excited for. Those are the games that we're going to talk about here in the new series. And that's going to be on Monday. We don't have a name for it yet. We're going to wait. We're going to give it a try. See how everybody likes it.
Drop your bombs.
I'm not playing the game. I'm talking. I've got a different thing. I have a grenade. Oh, you made it? No, you made it back. Okay, I'm out.
That's how you take tank downs with boomerangs.
Yeah. There we go.
Perfect.
So yeah, that'll be a new series. Since we've got 8 of these under our belt, roughly, if you count our other series, another 7. So what we want to do is kind of talk a little bit about where we came from and what games we've known about or what we've thought about these games and kind of like what games we're looking forward to based upon our experience and our industry knowledge.
Yeah, and I mean, there's also not every single game that we've played or we like is also available on our service too.
Right. There's tons of games, that we could sit there and talk about that are not a PC game.
We could do a full series on like just console games or just Xbox games or just, PlayStation Vita games or something along that line.
Oh, sure.
So
that'll be an interesting console. You'll hear a lot more about like games, game theory, design, in general knowledge. Are you stuck?
Yeah, I'm stuck.
Yeah, weird. It's almost like you're... Okay, so let's see if we can resume. It drops you out. Did it drop out the game itself?
Let's see what happens if I take some batteries on it.
Maybe it's the controller. Yeah, I'll hold off for a second. 'Cause I don't think I can even walk forward without you. Yeah, I can't shoot you.
No? We're SOL over here.
Yeah, what is that about? Oh, and the time's not even running. Oh, now it's just, I just mentioned it, now it ticked down. There it goes. Can we... Oh, I bet it's going to knock us all the way out. Is your controller working now? There you go. Weird. It just didn't, well, it worked out. Regardless, we're going to speed through a little bit. Maybe not speed through. But yeah, we'll put a, it's going to be a live show. A little bit different design to the show, but a little, kind of similar. Oh, that was funny. You used some neat effect there. But with that, it'll probably be Monday, and we'll throw up the alert, the live kind of scenario, so everybody can like go in and select it and remind themselves. And then we'll tweet about it and let everybody know. It's going to be in the evening. It's probably going to be around 5, 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
We're going to do that again. Okay, now I'm back in. Different character.
I've been picking a different one each time.
Yeah,
I've been trying to.
Oh, okay. This mode where I can just hold my position. I see why they built this in this way, because it is kind of nice just to hit the auto fire and you're aiming like sideways. If you've got to take down an enemy, you're kind of stuck there. But yeah, you've really got to play it differently when you're dealing with it more like the beat 'em up style. Because this right here reminds me kind of like a Double Dragon.
Yep.
You know, and then you go into the mode where you're like, oh, now we've got an enemy, and it becomes more of a shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Highly detailed, though. I mean, SNK always did that with their games. They, you know, for when it was, you know, for the era of gaming that they had,
Definitely.
they always put detail into every game, and that's why, you know, you were paying the prices you were. Because essentially you were playing a perfect arcade port at home. If you had a, I think you're right, an MVS version. You do move so sluggish, though. I think you move slower when you're actually shooting.
I think the pro strat might be just roll. I don't even think you can get hit if you roll.
Just kind of roll out the bullets. Well, I'm not quick enough to roll. No. Okay, I'm going to shoot this way. Oh, well, you can keep the, that's nice. You keep your direction if you keep A held in and then you roll. You need to roll.
Yeah, dude, I'll tell you, this rolls the heat.
It's the one that keeps you.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at that.
I'm not getting it. I'm still getting hit. Okay, not aimed the right way. I died again. This one's trickier for me. Let me try this guy.
Big Mama?
Is it one?
One of the last characters is Big Mama.
Oh, okay. Oh. I got hit twice. Hit the third time. Okay, let me stay in the center or stay away from it at least. Ooh. Run up on me. Look at this boss.
This is like 4 of them are phantoms at this point.
Yeah, that's what we had gotten to. I do like that you can just jump back in and start playing. It's not like the old Akari Warrior where you had to hit ABBA to like, you know, that was the constant way to like bring yourself back.
Right.
Man, we took a lot of hits on that one. I did.
I died a couple times.
Let's see. I'm going to just check. We're going to put it on full screen for a few minutes here while we're playing. Give me a sec while the computer locked up. Not locked up, but timed out. There we go. Now you can, all the full screen glory. Okay. Alright, where are we? Oh, mine's now. Yeah, go get that. Oh! It was touchy.
Pretty healthy rocket launcher.
I like this though, yeah, it's got some, you definitely fly through, oh, I already ran out of the rockets though, it's pretty damn fast.
It's pretty quick.
A little,
Gallon-ish.
yeah, a little gallon-ish. Oh, God, those bullets are just, they're slow, but they are accurate. There you go. You look like you got the John Rambo over there.
Yeah. We showed up with a crossbow.
Exactly. Norman Reedus.
I feel like, yeah.
Yep. Oh, Get that life. Get into some acid. Smoke or something.
Something.
Good Lord. This shooting though. Wow, that's rough. It is rough to play it that way.
It is.
Like, I want to keep using the tapping because tapping works, but then there's points where you're like,
It throws you off.
yeah, I gotta shoot this guy, just keep laying into him, so I gotta hold down. Keep going. Because, yeah, if I tap, then you can go, like, in a circle, but you're still having to, like, run in a circle to aim backwards. Oh, no. Ugh. Yeah. Go for all the grenades. Kill me. Let's see if we can get to the end of this level. Call it good. Well, if we can. Oh, don't die, man. You don't to die.
That's how you do it.
Just get up on him.
Just napalm it.
Alright, line of grenades. Wow, this guy's tough.
Oh! Ouch. See what he has to say about this.
Oh, throw this guy on. Do it again? There he goes. Looks like the ninjas jump out. Oh.
Oh.
Oh, we're still in it. We're still in it. Okay. I thought that was going to be it. I thought, like, if we both died at the same time, it was going to
I
continue.
figured that's how it worked, yeah.
Who's this dude? Get out of here. 3 grenades a time.
Of course, the AI can run, shoot, and
Oh, yeah,
grenades
they don't.
in all 3 directions at once.
Yeah, no, they don't.
No problem.
Oh, no. You keep getting these guys. Who am I try? This thing. Get him with the boomerang. Oh, he's red. Okay, we've got him on this. Nice. Good job. Awesome. So that's Shock Troopers. That is our game this week that we were playing. I think next week we're gonna get away from the retro stuff a little bit.
Yep.
We've been playing a little bit of that. Nothing wrong with it. Just that's what we felt like playing. Like more not retro, but more like the pixelated graphics. We've done Steriden, we've done Tower 57, we've done.
Well, we're also trying to show.
Shock
We're also
Troopers.
trying to show a good mix, right?
Yeah, of course.
Not every game can be Batman.
No, you can't.
So,
Yeah, I mean those are specific types of games that you want to show off. But this is more one that we like the retro stuff. I think a lot of the stuff we're getting plays very well on PC.
Yeah,
on many PCs.
Yeah.
So and they're great fun games. So if you don't have like a gaming PC sitting next to you, maybe you only have a PS4, you can still come over and try a bunch of games if you have a pretty, like reasonable PC, like in the past 5-6 years.
Old games are challenging too.
Yeah.
They are far more challenging than some of the games today where you come up with
By
like
far.
unlimited shields that regen,
Yep.
health that regens, ammo out of thin air, waypoints that's like follow the yellow line to get to the yellow chest with the yellow arrow above it. This is like punishing, like
just beat you up.
questionable control type of stuff, right? So it's always interesting to see that what developers did back when
It was the Wild West.
Right, yeah.
I mean, when there was no rules, people were just trying to figure out how to make games. how to make fun games, right? Games that suck quarters down machines, right? That was the whole thing. Before microtransactions, it was about like get them for all the quarters they have in their pocket and just make it extremely difficult.
You thought it was cheap because it was.
Exactly.
Right.
It was. It was a cheap way to get people's money.
You thought that death was cheap because it was.
Yep. They wanted to make as much off you, so they made cheap deaths. Well, that's about it for us this week. Thank you for joining. We were able to get these casts out, and we were able to get it live. Thank God, no YouTube failure.
With any luck, we won't have a blown up mixer.
Nope.
Blown up Facebook or snow.
The mighty number 9.
Yeah.
Next week's show, the night show, should be, as far as we can tell, something that will go. Well, actually, this one went off without a hitch.
Yeah, we were good on this one.
This one didn't have a problem at all. The Facebook side, that was it. So hopefully next week, the whole week will be good. We'll be able to do Monday. We'll be able to do Wednesday. We'll be able to do Thursday, and knock these out and have a nice, easy week. Not easy, but a nice week of like on time, no problems. Talk about games, which is what we love to do. So. Yeah, check out, look for a note on Monday. If you haven't, you can follow any of our social media. We talk a lot about this one, Twitter. That one is the one that we use to say what day we're going to do what on YouTube and Twitch. Mm-hmm. For Facebook, obviously, that's a specific one for more of the casual games in our service.
Yeah.
We did talk about Bomber Crew over there, though, which is really cool. We do want to give a couple copies of that away. So if you follow us on Twitter, we're going to be doing some giveaways this weekend coming up for the Bomber Crew game. We've got 5, I think, is what you created.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Out of that, or we got 5 that we can give away. So we're going to be doing that on Twitter.
Those are giveaways. I mean, full copy, full game. Yeah. This isn't a trials thing. This is outright. So
you get the full game and you own it for good. And essentially, it's a great strategy simulation game. Mm-hmm. Very fun. So that's from Plugin Digital, but Curve Digital is the actual publisher or developer on that game. So we will definitely be doing that. If you haven't subscribed to us, click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, make sure that you get the notifications. We do set up reminders for each of the shows on YouTube, so you can just see that. Usually on Wednesdays when we put those out, you hit reminder and it'll just ding you whenever you're ready.
Should be coming through as events as well.
It comes through as an event.
Yeah.
If you do follow and you subscribe, you just get notified regardless.
Right.
It'll put that notification on. Both are just nice to have. We are almost at 4,000 subs on YouTube, which is good. We're only about less than 30 away. We're at 3970 something. So we're happy for everybody to join us. Jump in. You get to hear and see all the new games that we're pushing out. And you can reach out to us through the community channel. You can reach out to us through any of the social media as well. Brooks and I are always there. We're listening and we're trying to find the games that you want to play and talk to those publishers and developers. We will throw our Twitters in the chat so you can find us directly. And that'll be on the recording, so you can always see that. But yours is what? Brooks Pentheny on Twitter,
first
at Brooks Pentheny.
Yep.
And then mine is at Fans of Games, so you can find both of us on Twitter. Might as well just grab that. Do I have that easily accessible? I do. So we'll just grab those now. And like I said, reach out to us. Let us know in the comments what games that you're interested in that you want to see on here too. Because we'd love to hear from you and talk a little bit about like what games are coming up. So there's mine. And we'll drop that onto YouTube as well. And then there's Brooks.
I think we came to the conclusion I might be the only person with that name.
Yeah, because there was nobody else that had that
nobody
name.
else
I was shocked.
That.
I was shocked on Twitter, on Twitter alone, because everybody's got tons of different accounts under their own. Right. And on Twitter, for nobody to have that name, I was shocked. So there we are. All right, folks, have a great weekend. Definitely check back next week and check out all the stuff that we're putting up on the show all throughout the weekend. We put games up all weekend long on YouTube, and pretty much the games that go live on the service are Monday through Friday. So play away, and we will talk to you next week.
Catch everyone on Monday.
Thank you. Bye.